Today's video I'm going to be talking about the ether and how we detect it. And to me, it's kind of hard to deny. But in debates, they would say that it's the way flat earthers describe all the phenomena. It's like the magic substance. But to me, they use gravity as a magic fix all. But they say that the Michelson-Morley experiment proved the non-existence of the ether. The way they did that was using an interferometer, which splits two light beams and rejoins them and detects the interference pattern. And they say that in the experiment, they say that they detected no interference. And so since we know that the Earth is moving approximately 30 miles a second, then there must be no ether. That, to me, you call that science? Since we know the Earth's motion and we know the speed the Earth is moving through, whatever you want to call it, we know that it's nothing at all. But that same interferometer can detect our rotation. So they try and use that as proof that we're rotating, but it can't detect the orbital rotation. I mean, are you kidding me? That's borderline retarded, even thinking like that. But people have some strong opinions when their paradigm is on trial. But look, like this magnet, you don't see a field. I could go in between it and everything. To me, that's one clue. But I'm gonna show more clues. The way you know that our senses detect it, like when it breaks the sound barrier, it like makes ripples. To me, it's making ripples in the ether. I mean, it's not plasma or liquid or solid. To me, our sense of smell is basically etheric. I don't think that there's literal particles uh, floating up from something making a fragrance or uh, I think we can see it with like the SpaceX launches when they hit a certain layer, it makes like ripples. I think the lunar wave and super fluidity. I think all these things are tied together, and I'm gonna show that and try and demonstrate it. And I'm gonna give a little rant too. So stick around.
The liquid helium had turned into a superfluid which displays some really odd properties.
Here I have a beaker with an unglazed ceramic bottom of ultrafine porosity.
Ordinarily, this container with tiny pores can hold liquid helium. But the moment the helium turns superfluid, it leaks through.
We call this kind of flow a superflow.
Superfluid helium can do things we might have believed impossible. It appears to defy gravity. A thin film can climb walls and escape its container. This is because a superfluid has zero viscosity. It can even produce a frictionless fountain, one that never stops flowing. Superfluidity and superconductivity were baffling concepts for scientists. New radical theories were needed to explain them.
Here, that guy said we need some radical new theories, and I think I have some. Just so happens. But I wanted to start by saying, like, sharing ideas it's healthy. Like, it's like exercising the brain and like demonic exercise, like exercising toxins, stagnation of secrets and shit. So I come up with a saying: sharing knowledge and ideas is like exercising the brain and exercising the toxins of secrets and flushes out the stagnation of hiding knowledge. Hiding knowledge can only be achieved by isolation or perpetual lies, easily identified by anyone open to advancement. of humanity. Yeah, but I wanted to. I put together a clip of. Pardon me. I put together a clip of videos that to me demonstrates the ether. And like I was talking about that wave that follows a plane, you know. And also the lunar wave. I mean, how in the world would you describe that? It's ether. I mean, it's not a solid liquid or a gas. And, I mean, the closest thing would be plasma, but it's not that either. So you know, it's and also like the rockets when they hit that layer up there. They've been recorded a few times. They hit a layer and make ripples and shit. And later on in this video, I have a guy caught a wave on a Jupiter. I think it's been on other planets too, man. These things are being recorded, and there's no real way of describing this stuff, man. So it's not talked about. But to me, it's fascinating. But so I've been, you know, going on and for some time about how Coulomb's law is identical to gravity. It's just, you know, different constant, and gravity pretty much done away with repulsion. So the Coulomb constant is 6.24 times 10 to the 18th, and that's the amount of electrons moved in like per second by 1 amp, and it's just a number that fit everything to me. And the gravitational constant is way smaller. It's I think in newtons it's 6.674 blah 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 times 10 to the negative 11th. And like I said, it did away with repulsion because Coulomb's law has you know, it's electrostatic charge, positive and negative, repulsive and attractive, where gravity just has attractive, and which raises questions. So if you want to do repulsive equations, you have to add in buoyancy. You got to add shit. So that raised questions where people trying to come up with new explanations, detecting bullshit like the relative density disequilibrium with the density buoyancy. Which, I mean, if I'm being honest, everything has to follow relative density disequilibrium. Whether there's something causing down, up and down, you know, it's got to follow that law. It's there's no getting around it. But you know, maybe there is a force or like a constant pull down. But to me, they had to eliminate the force because it doesn't add up. As gravity being a force, it doesn't add up. So they had to call it a force, but not count it as a force. You see what I'm saying? It's bullshit. So to me, the answer is like electrostatic equilibrium. Like you take 1,000 magnets and you put them together, but you don't line them up north south the way they stick together. You just bunch them together, and that's what they mean by incoherent magnetism. They get weaker, and it'd be, I guess, the same way if you lined up a bunch of electrostatic charges, bunch them, and just randomly bunch them together. It'd probably lose a ton of its force. The more magnets you put together, the weaker the force gets. It already ain't even as strong as just the one magnet, and it only attracts. So that would be described by gravity. It's attractive only. So that's the thing. But for this paradigm to work, you know, it would be kind of wholly dependent on it, you know, two main things. One, that the moon shit they show us, or we didn't go to the moon. And I like to keep an open mind. So if they did say maybe, just maybe they did go, but what they're showing us ain't it. That's not it for sure. And to me, the moon would be smaller. They'd have to rewrite the equations, man. For you know, I'm sure it would be small. It'd probably be a similar constant to gravity, but but it would leave room for smaller bodies up there. You know, because I'm looking at the moon and that shit's a sphere. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. It sure looks like a sphere. If it looks like a duck, you know what they say. But to me, but you can't focus in that sharp on something 240,000 miles away. I ain't buying it. I don't care how big it is. To me, it's closer. And the electrostatic explanation, and I think the math could explain it, and they'd say, no, man, the planets, it doesn't work, the moon, and no, bullshit. That's the way that they came up with the freaking sizes and densities of these planets. That's, I mean, with the gravitational constant. That's how they got it. So they're just using their own formula to prove their own formula. The same thing they do with maps and try and say GPS and the distances match up perfect. Yeah, that's because you're using latitude and longitude to compare the distances to. Of course, if you map it out on a ball, you map it out as a ball, then the measurements are going to match that. It's same thing. You could do that. You could map out a neighborhood with latitude and longitude, turn it into a ball, and then you could argue that them distances line up perfect. Doesn't prove nothing. But it's now I wanted to talk about the ISS. Like something's up there. You know, I don't like denying things I see, and whether men are on it. No, I don't think men are on it. They throw it in our face that men ain't on it. Like the latest video with the water pouch, guy brushing his teeth on the ISS, and he brushes his teeth and he drops the pouch, and they speed up the video, but then the pouch creeps in at the bottom corner, and they didn't speed up that layer, so it's obvious green screen layering. They throw it in our face. I mean, you have to be a fool to ignore it, you know. But something's up there, you know, and so if they did land on the moon, it's a lot smaller. But now, even if it's the size that planar trig dictates, that's still like 30, 40 miles. You know, that's wider than almost any city, if not every city. That's huge. So they could land shit on it and walk on it. If I guess, I mean, I'm highly skeptic about that, to be perfectly honest. But I don't know. I like just sharing ideas, man. And I like why do they? I mean, the lunar wave should have been on the news. It should have been the top story until they could explain it. You know, they just claim it's bullshit. But there's so many people who have caught lunar waves that, you know, the only people that see it and still deny it are people vested in gravitational paradigm. I mean, it's people are popping up with. I think I have a little one. I got to go back through my footage, but I don't know. So yeah, we have satellites. You know, I'd say most of them are probably up on balloons. They've showed us that, and when they hide it, when they hide something, there's bullshit. When there's secret or hidden shit, then you know there's bullshit behind it. And the people who prod and poke and to ask the questions get the lies, and the lies compound and they get sillier and sillier. And I can't stick my fingers in my ears either way. I know there's satellites up there, you know, and I know there's something up there, the ISS, whether there's men on it or not. No, I don't buy that. But you know, I reserve a small piece of my thoughts that just maybe, but they're hiding something. They wouldn't show us all the bullshit. But I'm going to do a video on how this ties in, how the superfluid ties into the ether coming up. That's just about it, man. I wanted to share some ideas I had and see what people think, man. See what we come up with. Put our heads together and just keep questioning everything the way science is supposed to do.